This week's podcast is presented by GK Calls, Migra Ammunition, Gibraltar Duck Hunters Association, Gibraltar Boatyard, Turtle Box, Gator Decoys, Hunt Proof, Cooler Guard, Pattern Pros, Hodag, and last but not least, I'd like to have a huge shout out to Brian Ellithorpe for all of the support that he does behind the scenes. Now let's get into today's episode. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Great Lakes Outdoors podcast. Before we kind of get into everything and I introduce Trav, I just want to say happy Mother's Day. I know it's a day late, but happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. But Trav, what's going on, man?
I would also like to say happy Mother's Day to all those wonderful mothers out there, the two Gails in our life, your Gail and my Gail, and
he says yours, those are our moms.
Our moms, yes. And then my wonderful, supportive, loving wife, Rachel, as well.
Was that sarcasm?
No. No.
I say it just sounds weird.
She puts up with your shit and puts up with my shit, so.
Mine? Mine?
Yeah, yours.
I feel like you talk behind my back is what it is. I feel like you put a bad name.
No, I protect the name. That's what I do.
I don't know.
You do it to yourself.
I don't even talk to Rachel much unless I'm at the house.
Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm talking shit behind your back. I guess I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. What's been new with you, man? We skipped out on last week's podcast. Things have been kind of just getting somewhat hectic just because it's season and in all reality, it's kind of hard to get rolling during season. We got so much other stuff going on in our personal lives and just like with all of the stuff we got going on here. But what's been new?
I mean, unfortunately, hunting hasn't been part of it. Been out a couple times since we last talked on the pod. And still turkeyless Travis here, TT for short.
That's kind of it's kind of karma, in my opinion, though. To be honest with you.
No, and that's funny because two people brought that up to me, and I don't think they listened to the whole soundbite of it because they're like,
they don't need to. It's karma.
No, they did. Well, they didn't, and so it was playing into me being this awesome turkey hunter, and then how actually I'm just a Joe Blow turkey hunter that gets lucky every once in a while.
Do you want my honest opinion?
Sure, let me hear it.
I think honestly, I think Ben is cursed, and I think anybody that is around Ben, he rubs some. I don't want to say rub because some.
Oh, hey.
But I mean, I don't know what you do out in Turkey Woods, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like Ben has some sort of like, I don't know, something that he gives off where you get some bad juju. Because like I said before, I mean, I took him out on one goose hunt this year, and next thing you know, I missed 2 turkeys. And the first time I've ever done that, back-to-back days out of anything. And then, obviously, every time you guys go out, it seems like something, like shit hits the fan, I feel like. So I think the problem is, and what the resolution would be is, I mean, I hate to say it out loud, but just kind of, sorry, Ben.
See, the thing is, I can't do that because that's what makes the hunts fun, right? The walking in 3 miles into public land to shoot one geese, or for him to split open his hand a mile back on public land, or like this morning, walking in and miscommunication for getting a decoy and having to walk back and then jumping the bird off the roost this morning, like stuff like that. It makes it fun, and it just is a part of the hunt, and we eventually persevere. On the waterfall side, the turkey side, we're still lacking. Like this morning, like, cause I told because the one bird was gobbling, the other Tom was 20 miles south of us off the roost. And I told him he was coming. I'm like, you're shooting this bird if it comes in. He looks at me and goes, I'm not shooting this bird if it comes in. Cause he had the camera, he was filming and stuff. So I think it's getting in his head. I think we got to take it easy on him. It's going to happen. It just takes time.
I think the problem is you think it's fun to go out there and have Ben forget a decoy or his dogs come running up, and you think that's fun. And on top of that, you shouldn't have said this. This is the problem right here. I'm going to bust right into it. The problem is there was no video taken. There was no proof of any of this.
He's got it all on film. He's got video. He just hasn't sent it to me yet.
Of forgetting about the decoy and everything?
Oh, no. Like that.
That's what I'm saying.
It was on me. It was on me. It wasn't on Ben.
There is a maybe it's a you thing too. Maybe it's you. Because I don't hear Ben's side, I hear your side, and there's always different sides of the story. I think I mean, by all means, if you like waking up early and getting your butt beat by a turkey every day over a dog, a decoy, or jumping a bird out of the roof, by all means, go out there and do it every morning. Kudos
It's
to you.
fun, right? It's a story. It adds comic relief. I mean,
But at
no,
some point,
do I like it happening every time? No, but getting out and hunting with a buddy. I
see,
mean,
you got to, because the problem is, do you like it every time? Is what you just asked, and you said no. But you do it every single time you guys go out there. That's the problem. So the problem is there's been no change when you guys have hunted together. You shot your bird last year by yourself.
yeah.
Um, and every time you've gone out with Ben, there's something that happens. And
See, I think we're getting close because like yesterday I went out and I scouted.
how many years does it take to get close enough to actually kill a bird? Because I mean, you can get close all you want, but I mean, obviously, yeah, I could tell you firsthand. Just because you're close to that bird doesn't mean you will have that bird.
No, and I can tell you from experience that's not the case at all. Like you can be as close as you want and you still won't have that bird. And from my personal experience and from hunting with Ben's experience, that's definitely um, been a talking point for sure.
Yeah, and I guess on top of that talking point is I'm glad that you guys are able to go to grocery stores and get food because you guys would be very hungry throughout the year.
See, we have the deer killing side covered. It's just the waterfall and the turkey side that's been giving us fits. I mean, yeah. I mean, we got the deer side covered. Yeah.
How many deer did Ben kill this year?
You got one in Ohio. You got one in Ohio. That's what you got.
Yeah, you guys are gonna be eating good off of that one deer all year long. That's yeah. You guys are good. Yeah, you guys are set, man.
He has chickens. He's good.
I tell you what, I know where I'm going if I need food because you guys are like Arby's and have the meats. That's what I'm gonna call you guys, the Arby's team.
See, we
I
don't
don't
want
know.
to take away from people, right? Like we don't want to shoot all the deer, right? We want to let someone else get all the deer. The turkey side, the landowner wants all the turkeys shot, but it's like, I mean,
You guys are doing a great job with that.
we like seeing the turkeys though. They're super cool to watch them all fanned out and spin in circles at 200 yards. It's really fun to do at 6 in the morning.
I
See, the thing
I would,
no, and I think the issue is the camera. We have someone there dedicated to filming.
I don't think so.
And
I had
I
that
think it's a
last year.
jinx. I think
I
it's a
don't think
jinx.
so. I don't because I had that last year on a couple hunts and it was not a jinx.
But
I
when you
think
have them tied up, I mean, it's a different story.
it's a loose knot.
just enough to when you get them excited enough, they come running off it.
Yeah,
It pulls stuff through.
they can. Yeah, they have the opportunity to. But yeah, something needs to change, man.
I think it's gonna
What
happen. I felt really good this morning. I felt like this was the most confident I had ever felt hunting with
to
Ben.
what point?
I think
To what point?
until I turned my flashlight on and that turkey flew off the roost right next to me.
So we're talking before even gobbling light is when you felt confident.
Yeah, no, because
Okay, but hold on. So before they even started gobbling, you felt confident, and I'm talking like you might as well have gone out there at midnight and you like still feel the same confidence.
I would have felt like leaving the field
It
yesterday.
wasn't even bright enough for them to gobble, and you have already lost your confidence.
Yes, but I'm saying I felt confident the most I've felt all year going out. I felt confident this morning just because like
How'd
I
that
said,
work out for you?
there's
That
always
work out
something that
for you
there's always something that's gone wrong, okay? Whether it
guys?
be
Yeah,
forgetting something. A big thing for us is we've hunted big open fields, so we always forget our binoculars. This morning, out of the
that is a
grace
pain.
of the Lord, we both remembered our binoculars this morning. We both remembered them. I'm like, the seas parting, we're gonna get it done this morning. And then just a little mishap at the truck resulted in walking 200 yards to our spot, not having a decoy, having to walk 200 yards back, and kicking a bird out in the process.
Did you mean to turn on your flashlight?
I did. I 100% did because When I left the field, those birds had went into the woods. They were getting chased by a coyote. Okay, so like, there's no way these birds are roosted right here. And so I was gonna sneak through. There's like a little drainage ditch that has a bunch of like shrubs and stuff. So I was gonna turn my flashlight on, so I made sure I didn't trip and stumble into the water. As soon as I freaking clicked that the light on, and I just look at Ben and I say, "Hey, that's our hunt, man. That's our hunt right there."
I got questions. I usually do have questions after
Mm-hmm.
a statement that is made.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when you guys were walking in, um, were you guys being quiet?
Oh, 100%. Like
Were you guys whispering to each other?
Nope.
So you guys were talking a lot, or were you guys just not talking at all?
We weren't talking at all.
So
We're professionals, man.
why not talk and like walk slow so you can't be heard, and then think we did all of that, but now let me turn my flashlight on and just make us known, like make every animal around us like that, let them know, even though we walk slow and it took us X amount of time to get to this point, let me turn my flashlight on. Because at that point, if you are comfortable enough to turn your flashlight on, you might as well just drive your truck right up to the spot.
I mean,
There's a headlight and a flashlight at that point. The diesel truck the truck could have been running right behind you at that point. What's the point of walking slow and taking your time and not talk? Hey, Ben, watch out for the sticks. Don't step on the sticks. Let's not make any noise. But if you need to, turn your flashlight on to see if you know where you're walking. How does that make sense? You're digging yourself a hole. I'm just saying.
Well, hindsight's a bitch. We all know that. And in my mind, I was trying to do what I thought was right, as in not to eat shit and make a bunch of noise. When you look back on it, should I have just walked the field edge down and not walked across a ditch? Probably, but can't.
What way did you guys walk in?
So we walked. So there's big open field. We drove out, turned our headlights out, drove out through the middle of the field, out to this drainage ditch. We walked the drainage ditch down on one side, crossed at the woods, and then walked back a few steps and popped in. And then we were sitting there because the turkeys we thought were out in the woods, like about 100 yards into the woods. That's where I thought, like, where there was a bunch of turkey scratching and stuff like that in there. I was like, they're probably roosted in there after they got chased and blah 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 blah. So that's why we did what we did. But I mean, we walked right underneath that turkey, came back, walked back under it again to sit down. So we were just that stealthy, just a little bit of a flashlight. I mean, we were.
Wait.
That turkey knew we were there. I mean, from walking in, because turkeys could probably hear a little stick break or see us in the shadows, but so we were probably screwed either way. But
well, now that kind of opens up a question that I was going to ask at some point during the podcast, or a statement question. It kind of goes both ways. How, like, for a turkey, when you're hunting them, and it could probably go the same way with deer and stuff too, and even waterfowl, whatever you're hunting. I feel like as hunters, we think way too in depth about all of that. Of like, you know, if we step on the stick when it's pitch black out and I have no flashlight on, they're gonna know it's people. Which, to a point, it could be true with, you know, and I'm talking, I guess, as a deer perspective and a turkey perspective. To a point, I could see it being somewhat true, just because, like they say, like, what is it, like the 3-step rule? Like you take 3 steps and kind of pause because there's no animals that kind of just continuously walk or what. You ever hear that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I feel like people think too in depth of what they're doing out there. Like if you're driving one of those electric bikes out there, people get sketched out about leaving that bike. Those animals don't know what a bike is. They don't know what even that is out there. It could be a bunch of sticks laying on top of each other. All they care.
I mean, I think they do. I think they know it's not right. Right.
Well,
I think a bike and a car are two different things.
I think, yes, but I think they might not think it I don't know if they think it's not right. I think think of it as like it's something new maybe.
Well, and
Uh,
that's why I think like with ground blinds and stuff, like you might have more success that first time you put that ground blind up than you do.
for deer wise,
I mean, probably in general, I think.
I could say that with deer, but not turkey. Deer, it seems like if you put the ground blind up the night before and hunt it, and I would say even like a tree stand per se, it seems like a lot of people have a lot of luck that way. Turkeys, I mean, in my opinion, they got two things on their brain throughout the entire year. Well, three things: staying alive, eating, and breeding. Other than that, I feel like turkeys just don't care about anything else. And I think too many people think too far into it to mess themselves up with it all, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there's different tactics. People like this year for me, like I've always was the one to walk in super, like for deer hunting per se, like walking in super quiet, not making a ton of noise.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched some video on Facebook, right? So it's gotta be true,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And it was like the guy, he said like a deer never is quiet, right? When you see a deer, it's making noise, unless like the wheat leaves or whatever. But when it's crinkly and there's sticks, like they're stepping on branches, they're doing this, they're doing that. And so when I saw that, like, oh, that makes sense, right? So when I hunt, and especially like in during the rut time, like I'm making a ton of noise walking in, especially when it's like I'm in an area where the deer can't actually see me. So like when I shot my deer, like that's what I did when I walked in is I would make noise, act like I'm a buck making a scrape, like scratch some leaves around, scratch grass, break a stick. Even I saw something about a guy rattling horns at the base of his tree, so I did that too. I rattled my bag I had, like doing stuff that's more realistic. Where turkeys are fairly quiet when they're pretty stealthy. So
Well,
like when I'm turkey hunting, I'm not making a ton of noise. I'm trying to be as quiet as possible because those turkeys can see a long ways, and they can spot an abnormality when they see one.
I will say this about turkeys: like you don't have to be quiet necessarily. Like you can call in a turkey just by scratching the leaves on the ground, like scratching like how they would kind of scratch and open up like the floor or the wood floor or whatever, like the layer of leaves that, like, if you move those out of the way, that's what a turkey would sound like, if you're hunting in kind of scenario per se. um so I don't think it's completely true with turkeys, and I've even heard people using turkey calls while deer hunting, like while they're going into their stands. But I kind of took a different path toward, like, a different like mindset towards deer this year, and it could be different obviously for different areas. And I looked at it more as deer are naturally curious animals.
Hmm.
Um, did I, I was cautious about some things, but in reality, they really don't know that you're danger in some areas. I guess if you go way up north and they don't see anybody, that's one thing, but they don't necessarily think just straight danger. That guy's a hunter right away. I don't think.
No,
Um,
I think what you said is true. Like that's where that making noise and being more animal sounding is plays true. Like they're curious creatures. So if you're making noise, that's not like a truck driving or something along those lines. Like they might be like, "Huh, what is that? Let me come take a peek and see what that." They might not come out into the field, but they might come within some type of range to where they could see out into that field and see what's going on, or in that wood area.
yeah, I think that, like, hunters, they think too in depth about stuff, and they make it too complicated, and I'm a victim myself. I do it all the time for me, but people just complicate things too much to where, if in life in general, if you just simplify it down and just dumb it down a little bit, it's that much easier. Like, I don't know, what I mean? It's
Now,
just it's
now, you, now you take that same perspective, then you put it towards waterfowl hunting. Mister, change the decoy every 5 minutes. Do this, do that.
I think to an extent, I think blinds more than anything with see, I changed the spread a lot just because of the landing zone per se. I don't change it because it's the decoys aren't necessarily hiding us. I move the decoys out to.
I'm not saying for hiding. I'm saying for overthinking things.
I do it more for the fact of like the the pocket.
But you're thinking
Or
you're overthinking it though.
yeah, I'm sure I do, but
No, that's
I
that's
will
just what
say,
that's just what I'm getting at, right? Like you people are overthinking for certain things, but like for you for waterfowl hunting, that's your bread and butter. That's like your thing you do the most and love to do. Not saying it's your favorite animal to hunt, but you do it the most. And
yeah, for
when I watch you out in a field work, right? Because that's like you're working out there, analyzing every little thing that takes place, whether it be Joe down in the blind, that stick that's sticking up on the blind down here, that decoy that's out to the right, how that group of geese flew over and didn't even take a peek at us. Like you're analyzing every little thing of that.
well, and I think that's a big thing too. Even geese, and it could even go into like the fishing aspect. I feel like a lot of people don't understand like the fishing. Like they want to get these fancy. Let's just for example, like the jig heads for walleye in the river here. They want to get the fanciest sparkles. Well, the whole 10 yards for jigging. Well, they don't even realize that the color changes at a certain depth. So whatever color you think it is, it doesn't even matter. So you're fishing. It's almost like one of those things where I feel like more lures catch people than they do fish. Fishing, I always look back at it like, they used to carve lures out and make them by hand. And now you're paying $50-$60 for a lure that looks identical when maybe they catch a couple more fish, but nothing crazy, I guess. Waterfowl, I feel like it's more of like the pocket more than anything. Because I look at it, and maybe it is too far in depth, where like if you have sentries looking out into the field, or all the geese looking one way in your spread, or ducks, whatever it may be, typically that means that they're getting ready to fly out of there. Or if you have the sentries that, you are wanting to make them look like they're landing into the spread, or like they just landed, like a group just landed, and they're facing the opposite way of the spread, it almost looks like they're getting out of there instead of coming in. So that's the way I look at it with that. And it's funny too, because like even ducks and geese, I feel like if you watch a group of geese landing out in a field, a lot of the geese, if they're being vocal, they will pick their heads up instead of staying down feeding. But everybody wants feeder decoys because they think that's what those birds are going to see, and they think that there's that much more food down there. But if you look at a actual live spread out there, a lot of the birds' heads go up when birds are coming in. So that's kind of this like stuff that I guess the more realism in my waterfowl.
So
In my
in a roundabout terminal, you're overanalyzing it.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I could, honestly say that it seems like it works a lot better than what other people do around the area.
No, that's where it plays into where you just said is hunters overanalyze things.
Yeah,
And that's what I was meaning by you with waterfowl versus other people with turkeys and deer and stuff like that.
yeah. I guess not. I don't
Not
mean
saying
to
it's
be,
wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong.
yeah, I don't mean to be negative about overanalyzing it, but I think people do just think too in depth about it, I guess. I don't know why I do it more towards waterfowl than anything else. I don't know why.
Because you do that with your decoys for turkeys.
No, no. I kind of just, I guess it, let me see. I guess it depends on what field I'm hunting. I've hunted them without decoys in some situations, because the situation was right for that. I've hunted them with one hen before. I've hunted them with two hens and a tom. I've hunted them with two hens and a Jake decoy. It depends on the birds that you have, or I have on that piece of property wise. So I guess, if you want to say that's over analyzing it, I feel like that's kind of just one of those things where it's almost like matching the hatch kind of thing, or knowing the situation. Or
No, I don't think so at all. I think
I'm not,
for
yeah, I'm not,
some
I'm just
people
saying.
that might be overanalyzing, but for me, I'm the same way you are with, especially with turkeys. For geese, like I'm throwing them out there.
Right.
There's some rhyme or reason in my head that why I did it, but it's not up to your standards. But for me, like for deer hunting, I'm different than you are.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a little more analyzation with it. So I mean, it's just everyone in their own whatever they favor the most, they overanalyze the most, right?
Which I might be more in depth with the deer if I was hunting in a different location than I am now. Like if I was up north still hunting, I might look at it differently. But the spot where I hunt,
What you can do.
well, not even like limited, but like I feel like, I mean, I know the deer aren't as pressured, I guess, so it's easier to get away with more, if that makes sense. So I guess I could be more lackadaisical on certain things than like deer, in the northern portion of the lower peninsula, or even like the UP. I mean, those deer probably never see people besides hunting season, or bear, or whatever it may be. So they automatically think it is danger. But down like where I hunt at, they see people all the time. So it's two different situations, I guess.
Human interaction with the
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah.
and I guess that's what I was saying. Like, you got to know your spot. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I don't know. There's still things out there that you can overanalyze no matter what situation you're in. And I was going to ask you about this too, about like turkey decoys wise. In your opinion, if you had two scenarios of using decoys and not using decoys, and the location where you were hunting was woods, or I'll give you three, and you got to choose decoys or no decoys. Like a hardwoods, open hardwoods. Are you using decoys or no?
Open hardwoods. I would say yes. I would use decoys, and the reason I would say that is the way I would say my tactic is when I'm calling is I want that turkey to search for me. And so when that turkey gets somewhat close, I usually quit calling. So if I have no decoy out there to that Tom to see, that Tom might go a different direction, and then I'll have to call at him again, and then hopefully bring him back. So that's kind of where I go with it, and that could be a totally. Some people might feel that's not the right way to do it. But that's how I've had success doing it when I've hunted in a wooded area like that.
All right. I'll say, I'll give you my 2 cents afterwards. Okay. What about in the woods still, but a thicker area, more cover, more like just pecker pole, like saplings that are sprouting up. I mean, just a little bit thicker, denser woods. Are you using a decoy in them situations?
So I have to ask a preface question:
Mm-hmm.
Am I running and gunning, or am I roosting? This bird roosted, and I'm sitting down on this bird.
We'll say roosted. Say roosted.
I would say 9 times out of 10, if I'm roosting a bird, I'll have a hen decoy out there every time. But if
What
I'm
in that scenario, in the thicket wise, or in the thicker? What? Okay.
and it probably in every scenario, I'll at least have a hen decoy out there every time. If I'm running and gunning, I won't have any decoy.
Now, what is the difference for you? Just because
If I am like per se like a couple weeks ago, if I'm walking on that property and I didn't roost that bird, but I know there's a turkey out there, and I'm doing like I'm walking like I take 30, 40 step, or I mean 40, 50 yards, and I call nothing. Another 40, 50 yards, call again, nothing. Like if I'm doing that, I'm not bringing a decoy. But if I'm purposely going in before daylight on a bird, there's a decoy on it. Like, but if I leave that spot for another bird that I see across the field, like I probably will not bring that decoy with me because it's just going to be too much movement per se. Because I've always been taught if you can see that turkey can see you. So it just for my like if I could put decoy, I would. But just for my own sake, I'm not putting a decoy out if I'm running and gunning.
so you're saying it more along the lines of a convenience thing than anything.
Convenience and not getting busted.
Okay.
Because if I'm running and gunning and I strike a bird up, I'm just gonna sit down, right? Like if I hear that bird's close, I'm gonna sit down. Where if I had a decoy, I would have to go walk out 15 yards and put that decoy down in a spot where I can shoot that bird versus me
I mean,
just sitting down and then hopefully that bird comes. I mean, it's a risk, but that's the risk I'd rather take than potentially because that bird's looking for me now. He's looking through the woods. I can't see that bird, but that bird might be able to see me.
I mean, I guess technically you wouldn't have to put that decoy out. You could throw it behind you or whatever if you had it in that situation. You don't always have to throw it
but
there.
that's bringing more eyes towards me, though. I don't want that turkey looking at me. I want that turkey off in a different direction so that bird's not looking at me. So if I'm like, if I for some reason get the turkey shakes and I'm like doing this and that bird goes like that, like then I'm pegged. But if that Tom's looking off at a hen that's 15 yards to my right, then he's not looking at me. He's looking at that hen. And I can get away with maybe a little bit more movement than I could if that hen is behind me or sitting right in front of me.
In your experience, genuine question, have you had in those situations a lot of birds hang up at, let's say, 75, 80 yards and not seal the deal all the way in?
When I'm running and gunning?
No, with the decoy, like in the hardwoods, like have you had a lot of birds hang up at a distance?
Per se, like I haven't done it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like you're that's all you do by any means. I'm just saying like from your experience of if you even have done it, I don't know.
I've done it a handful of times, and a lot of times those birds don't even come in when I'm like get into within range because they're on a hen going to I picked the wrong field edge and I picked the wrong side of the woods and they're going the other direction. But I have had success in there. I killed one of my turkeys with Trent that one time in a
with decoys.
With decoys.
Yeah. Okay. Now what about in a field? Are you like what's your kind of go to? Are you throwing decoys out there or are you not?
I'm usually I'm throwing a hen decoy out every time. That's just the way that I was brought up hunting, and I've seen it work 8 times out of 10. When that turkey's fired up and coming, like he's gonna come into that hen decoy 8 times out of 10. But that's with me not like that's with someone like with my dad, right? Like he's not on a gun. He's calling behind me with a slate call, with his mouth call. He's making all the different with a gun. It's gonna be different, right? Because I only have my mouth call to use, so it's gonna be a little bit different. Like I can't whip on my box call with the gun in my lap and do it like that. It just doesn't work.
Now refresh my memory. Did you say in a thicker woods you would use a decoy?
In a thicker woods, yes, because I would find a pocket where it's open. Like I'm not going to set up and just have pecker poles and whatever in my face at 5 yards. I'm going to pick a specific spot where I can shoot at least 15, 20 yards out through at least some type of something,
So I guess my rebuttal to it all, I feel like people, and this is my own opinion, I'm not saying it's wrong or right or people are doing it wrong, whatever. I feel like people use the decoys obviously differently, but like in the wrong scenario, and they might be looking at it. I mean, obviously different than I am. Again, not saying I'm wrong or right, but if I'm in a hardwoods and it's pretty open, let's say first 2 weeks of season where there's it's maybe the trees are just budding and it's wide open. Me personally, I feel like I would not use a decoy. Because I want that bird
searching for you.
Yeah, because you said it yourself. I don't know if you remember, like you want the bird looking, right? But once they lock onto that decoy, one, they don't have to gobble anymore. I mean, they don't have to gobble in general, but like they found the bird. So now it kind of kicks back into like their instincts where the hen goes towards the tom. So if that tom could see that hen decoy out there in the hardwoods and it's wide open and it's 100 yards out and he could see her, he might get frustrated at some point where he goes towards her. But I feel like that's when he's going to sneak up on you and not gobble anymore and just come in quiet because he could see that far out. And hopefully at 100 yards, you've spotted him. Because like I said, he doesn't have to gobble anymore. He knows right where that bird's at.
Well, and that's the thing. You don't need him to gobble anymore.
But you do if you don't know exactly where he's at.
Well, if he's hammering, if he's hammering and gobbling, and he's like all of a sudden he shuts up, he's coming. It's just you got to be ready for when he comes.
Right, but you don't know exactly where he's coming at, though. I guess is what I'm saying, and I'm saying this is in maybe more of a
decoy.
Well, I guess hopefully, but like I said, I feel like in nature the hens go towards the tom, so that's what he's going to be, I guess, hoping for at that point, and hopefully he gets pissed off enough to where he comes in instead of just walks off and is done with it. I feel like if I was in the hardwoods, I would rather not have a decoy and have him coming in looking to try to figure out where that hen is that he's been coming to, and looking all around. It's kind of one of those things like where my decoy spread is way spread out for those geese and ducks to have a bigger viewpoint and looking all over instead of just pinpointing that one spot. Because a lot of the time, guys and girls will line their decoy up right with them, and you're the backdrop. So, like, if you move behind the decoy, you're getting picked off even easier that way. But if you don't have nothing in front of you, he's looking harder. He doesn't know where that hen's coming from, but he knows he heard it. And then for like a thicket, you want that bird looking for you, like you said. And if it's in a thicker part, why use a decoy? Because it's thick enough where you can kind of hide around certain edges or points or like briar bushes where it gets real thick and use that for your cover for that bird to kind of go around and still look for that bird to make him curious because curiosity kills a cat. So you want to make sure that bird, you can't call to him, obviously, like, right after a gobble every single time. You want him to get kind of curious and keep coming. But again, I feel like if he sees that decoy, he doesn't have to anymore at that point. Like 9 times out of 10, earlier in the year, your 2-year-olds will come running in. But those older, mature toms, I feel like will get hung up and just end up walking off after a while. But if you're in that thicket, they're probably not going to see your decoy in general. And by the time they see it, they're probably going to be in range at that point. But again, they're pinpointing that one spot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I think there. I mean, it depends on the hunt, right? I mean, it depends on the bird. It depends on
For sure.
the weather. It depends on everything, right? What that bird's gonna do. A lot of times it depends on the hen that's
Mm-hmm.
potentially with that tom, right? Like, because if that tom's
Well,
coming, you probably pissed off that hen enough, and that hen's gonna come in some way, shape, or form. So I think either having a decoy out, especially in a thick area, versus in a field versus a wooded area, I think it is totally dependent on that bird and that time of day and whatever. Like if I know birds, if like I'm hunting a travel pattern, if I know those birds are coming this direction, I'm not using decoys at all because I'm not gonna affect those birds at all. I want them just to do exactly what they normally do, walk this path, do this, do that. I'm not affecting it at all. Maybe some small calls here and there. It just depends on the hunt.
right. And I guess I'm saying too, if it's a lone tom coming in, so there's no hen like that's bringing him in the rest of the way. It's just him and him only. Um, in that thicket, he's looking. He can't see far. He's looking where that hen's at. He doesn't know exactly where she's at. And I feel like a lot of people underestimate the. I mean, turkeys live off of their hearing. Their hearing is as good as their eyes, so they can pinpoint. I forget. I just listened to a show the other day that how well they can pinpoint a location because I mean they're out there every single day. Obviously, it's like a tree stand in your living room. Like the deer are going to figure it out after a while. Like they know something's not right. Um, they could pinpoint you from a crazy distance. And I feel like if they're curious and looking, like I said, I feel like it's just more of a especially in a thicket, you're gonna get them to commit more. I feel like at that point, a field is different because if you're calling and they don't see nothing out in the field, I feel like it's pretty obvious. Unless you can get around the corner, like I got an overgrown field right now where I can kind of sneak through. There's two like lanes through the field where, I can get around the corner and that bird might think the hen's just right there, but he can't see her because the brush is too tall in the field because it wasn't planted or tilled or anything. So that's a different scenario there. But like in a wide open field, I feel like it's a lot easier with the decoy unless you got another caller calling from behind you.
So I guess has it happened to you like in the thick? I don't know if maybe it might not happen to you, but like if I'm a tom coming in, right, and it's all based on the personality of the bird, whatever. But like if that bird's coming in,
I hope to
and
God I wouldn't miss either if you were the Tom.
yeah, like we don't miss on this show.
No,
Um,
I do. I'm just saying, if you were the bird, there might be some different shells going in that gun. Just let you know.
but like if you're that bird coming in, or if for your opinion, if that bird's coming in, or if you've seen it before and not having a decoy out, and that bird's, depending on how, I don't know how close you'll call with, like in a thick area like that. If that bird's 50 yards out in the thick shit, are you calling at that bird?
I guess it's a learning thing where you gotta understand how fired up that bird is.
But like it's just a general, like, are you calling at that bird?
Well, I mean, again, it depends. Like I had that one bird that I missed. The first bird I missed, he walked in front of me, and then came around, and it was so thick, like he couldn't figure out really how to even get around like the flooded spots in the woods and the briar patches, whatever. He couldn't figure it out, but he knew I was over there somewhere, and he was gobbling on his own. So I knew he was fired up. So yes, I was calling, but I was only calling, every third gobble or whatever. So I made sure that because I feel like calling to a bird is telling that bird, "Hey, I'm coming to you. Like I'll be there in a minute." But if you're more discreet about it, I guess you could say, like not after every gobble, the curiosity starts building up in that bird, and he wants to come find you. And not the other way around, I guess. Like he's wondering where you're at, and I don't know. I just feel like you want to strike the curiosity of the bird and have him come finish the deal instead of the way it usually happens in nature, like the hen going towards him. Does that make sense?
I guess it does, but I guess so. Have you ever had it where you're calling every third call, every third gobble at that bird, and that Tom is doing its kind of out? He's looking, and he hears the hen, but he doesn't see the hen. It's thick, but turkeys have amazing eyesight, so they can see through that thick shit, right? And he can pinpoint that hen, you,
Mm-hmm.
but he can't see nothing. Have you had a bird not come in because of that?
No. Most of the time, with being selective when to call, he usually gets curious enough after a while. If he's that fired up and has covered ground to come to you, and you kind of shut up on him and make him keep coming, with no decoys at all, I've shot birds that way. But like I said, it's understanding. It's like a duck in the air. Like you got to understand the body language of that bird, or the gobble, like the gobble of that bird, to know what to do, or scratch at the ground, or whatever it may be. Like you kind of just gotta be out there enough to understand it, I guess.
Let's take a quick breather from the action. Let's talk promos. Grab 25% off Huntproof with code GREATHP25. Save 20% off Cooler Guard using code GLO. You can take 15% off your order from Hodag using code Great Lakes. And take 10% off Pattern Pros using code Great Lakes 10. Now back to the show.
So to conclude it all, I would say knowing the bird's body language, and maybe even time of day, or time of year, maybe, might even make things different. But just being out there enough to know what things mean in situations from a bird's perspective, like coming in at you, it depends on what you would do in certain situations, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's like we said before earlier, like the personality, the time of day, the weather. I mean, those birds. I mean, you could just catch that bird on the right day, and he's hot, and he'll just come into whatever, right? He'll be pecking at the side of your truck, right? Like it's gonna be all on that time of day and what that bird's wanting to do.
And I also feel like, and I'll go back to, like, so guy I talked to today, they went out this morning, hunted a hardwoods, somewhat pressured birds. I'll say pressured birds. They've been hunted fairly hard just on the weekends. So what is this? The third weekend of the season so far? Or the fourth? I think it's the third.
I think it's the fourth weekend.
Is it already? Holy crap. No, it can't be. Anyway, he had two birds hammering on the limb. The one bird ended up staying up on the limb until like 7:00, which I thought, when I heard it, was kind of weird. I mean, obviously, first thing I think of is, he's pressured enough. Maybe something like predator spooked him. He wants to make sure everything's clear to fly down, or maybe he even seen them in the morning. but the other bird shut up on him. And he said, next thing you know, he turned his head, and that bird was 40 yards behind him. But I felt like when he said that, and he was using that decoy, since that Tom was able to see that decoy, he didn't need to gobble anymore, like I was saying before. So I guess if he didn't have a decoy in that scenario, that bird would have came in gobbling, and if you weren't calling as much and kept that bird, I don't know, it's almost like dangling a treat in front of them, but they could barely reach it. I guess they're always just trying to get that extra step in to get a little bit closer. Just keep their curiosity there. I feel like once you lose a bird's curiosity, you lose that bird in general. And I feel like every bird's got its own personality. But you gotta keep that bird curious.
Yeah, and I mean, I think going to the situation you talked about this morning, right? Like, as a hunter, like if there's two birds, like if you hear two, like they're hammering, right, and there's multiple birds, and then all of a sudden there's only one bird gobbling, you think in your head, like if you're hunting, right, are they in the same area, right? Like, because it could be they could have been sitting there hammering all morning, but they could be gobbling over here and gobbling over here and over here, right? So if they're all gobbling the same area, and it's just one gobble, and now that it's kind of a difficult situation, right? You don't know if that one just shut up or what they're doing, but if it's one gobble over here, one gobble over here, in my opinion, I think that bird's gotten down, right?
Well,
Because it's kind of weird that it just shuts up like that unless there's some unforeseen circumstance like a predator or something like that happens.
so in my opinion, and I guess the like what I've dealt with, um, I feel like I could tell how good of a chance we have on that bird depending on how he's gobbling on a limb as well. I feel like if I call to him, if I do some light tree yelps in the morning, let's say he hasn't gobbled yet. I don't know exactly where he's at. I know there's one in there somewhere. I just don't know exactly where he's at. Do some light tree yelps, and he hammered right afterwards. Um, he hammers a couple more times. I call to him again, and he hammers right again afterwards. I probably have a good chance because he's probably talking back and forth to me. Because I feel like a lot of the time you can't even hear those other hens that are around some of those birds. You think you're on them, but you're not. Um, and I feel like maybe even the slight hesitation between your calling and his gobbling could be the difference of how likely that bird is on coming into you. Um, so just understanding even that, like, if he's not gobbling directly to you, maybe you don't have to worry about that bird as much as the other birds, closer by, or just small stuff like that. Even to stay a step ahead and be prepared, I guess could obviously help you out tremendously too.
And I heard something today. I can't remember where I heard it at, but he was talking about like calling sequences and stuff like that with turkeys, and like when that tom is firing back, so every call you make, that tom's hammering. So
Mm-hmm.
what that guy will do, he will stop calling altogether. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he will not call. He's like, that bird's coming to me. I'm not calling to, because if I'm calling, he's answering. I'm calling, he's answering. Like, I'll stop calling, and I won't call again until for some reason that tom does not gobble again. Because when that tom's fired up like that, a dog might bark. He's in a gobble. Crow crows. He's in a gobble. A stick breaks in the woods. Like, that tom's usually fired up. He's gonna gobble at everything.
For
So when
sure.
he hears, so like if he hears a goose honk or a crow and or crow caw, um, and he doesn't gobble, that's when he's like, okay, I gotta start calling again. But if that crow's cawing and that thing's gobbling still, like, he's like, okay, that turkey's still gonna come. He's looking, he's searching, right? That curiosity, he's searching for me. So I'm not gonna call. I'm not gonna give him any reason why not to come to me.
Well, and I guess it goes back to like the when and when not to, because you don't want to screw yourself over. Let's say you're sitting at the base of a tree in the hardwoods. Hopefully you could find like a tree that's like laying on the side, like laying on the ground. Just something like maybe back cover or whatever, just to get yourself situated in the best hide possible. Which can be tough. But if you're calling too much and he's still coming to you, and it even goes back to the how well they can hear scenario. Um, he's pinpointing you. So instead of him being curious on where that bird's at, he's going right to you, and he's looking right in your direction. and any movement or anything that he's seeing he's out of place, he's going to be gone. So it goes back to like not having a decoy and not calling as much and just calling every, like I said, third guy, whatever it is. The bird's looking, he's scanning the whole woods. He's trying to figure out where that hen is, but he knows this area. He just doesn't know exactly where. And that's where I feel like the no decoy situation can obviously help, because if you had one, like I said, odds are it's probably going to be right in front of you at 20 yards, we'll say, and he's coming right behind it, and if you move, you're done. So
you gotta be ready.
Decoys, and I know that's a huge point in the turkey world. Decoys, no decoys, reap it, whatever it is. There's times where decoys could hurt you more than help you. Even there's times where it's harder to kill them with decoys, I feel like, than it would be without. And I know I said earlier, like, how I'll run 2 hens and a Jake, or 2 hens and a Tom, or just a hen, whatever. Like I drove by one of my fields today and I had 8 Jakes in it. If I drive by there tomorrow and there's a Tom in there, and let's say he's not even strutting, well, I'll even give a better scenario. Opening day, we went to a field. We had a lone Tom out there, calling to him. He was coming in. Next thing you know, 4 Jakes come running out of the woods, push that Tom right out. Instantly, I thought to myself, well, if I throw a Jake out into a field, like a decoy, and that Tom ends up stepping back out and sees that Jake, he's automatically going to think there's 3 more. The 3 other amigos are in the woods hiding somewhere, getting ready to jump out and get after him. So he doesn't even want to deal with that anymore. So understanding what birds are on what property and what kind of pressure is within the turkeys, or like the pecking order per se, can really determine a lot of stuff too on your hunt.
Yeah, I mean, it's just being realistic, right? Like you said, like if there's like those 8 Jakes here in that time out, you're not going to want to put Jakes out there. Or if you're looking at a piece of property, if you've been scouting this piece of property, roosting the birds, and there's not a single Jake on that property, don't put Jakes out there, because that's not realistic.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, to be honest with you. If there was no Jakes on the property and a Tom came by, because obviously birds move, they get pushed around, whatever it may be. There's going to be a Jake somewhere. I mean, it's just going to be what it's going to be, unless there's going to be a Jake somewhere. But if there's not a lot or a big group of them running around together, that Tom is more likely to come in and defend his lady, compared to the 8 Jakes that are always running around pushing all the Toms out. Jakes are like a love-hate relationship, just because it's good to see the youngins and the the hatch was good, everything's good, the future's looking bright, you're gonna have birds for the future to hunt. But at the same time, I mean, they could really push those Toms around and bully those things.
Yeah, when they get in a group like that, for sure.
So, but like I said, I wouldn't necessarily rule out not throwing a Jake decoy if you don't see a whole lot of Jakes.
No, this is like for me, like on my pieces of prop, like this morning was an anomaly because I'm not familiar with that property enough to be like, I know for sure there's no Jakes out there. But like for my piece that I have behind me, I know I would stand on business that there's not a single Jake out there.
Mm-hmm.
From months of from when I started seeing turkeys on this property till today, with running 2 cameras, scouting it, like not one Jake. And I understand like things will move around and stuff like that, but if I haven't seen a Jake out there, like I'm not putting a Jake out there. And I understand like a new bird might move in and that might draw some excitement, but I'd rather not throw something out there and be like, that's kind of weird. I'm not gonna even go bother with that, because those might be new birds.
So I guess the way I would look at that scenario would be, this, me personally, I personally would probably throw a Jake out there, because if I throw a hen, what's the difference between my 1 or 2 hen decoys compared to 15 live ones that are walking around? Or if I throw a Tom decoy out there, there's already X amount of Toms out there, and they got a pecking order within. So you don't know what bird you're dealing with. I guess if he's at the bottom of the pecking order, he's not coming into a Tom decoy. But if he sees a smaller, younger bird that he knows he could take on by himself, he's going to, I guess. That's the way that I would look at it.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, like I think about it as like you said, hens go to the toms, right?
Mhm.
So with me throwing hens out there, knowing there's no jakes, I want to piss off. I want it to be like, oh, there's new hens in the area. I want to piss off those hens to bring the hens across. Like in reality, I'm not trying to call for that tom. I'm trying to piss off those hens to make the hens, because there's enough hens around to make those hens want to come over and take a piece at my bird over here. That's where my head goes at.
Yeah, no, I mean it makes sense, and I know a lot of people do it that way for sure. But every scenario is different, obviously. Um, if I seen a tom in a field and he's got four hens with him, and it's a field where I can kind of get around on him and set up and kind of get situated and try to call to him to hopefully him come in. Um, and he was out there strutting with the 3 or 4 hens. I know personally already, it's probably not very likely that bird's going to come in. He's going to probably go just with the hens in general.
Yeah, yeah.
But if there's a lone tom, obviously he's out looking. Like I said, I don't know. There's different scenarios. Different ways everybody's looking at it. I guess that's just the way I look at it all. I've talked to a handful of people throughout the state, and have you noticed like any difference or action wise in the turkey woods this year compared to previous years?
To be honest with you, I haven't been out enough to be able to notice a difference. Like for me, like we talked about in an earlier podcast, the water has played a factor in the way my birds have moved. So in the last 2 years of being on this property, those birds have normally came up on my property, worked through, and there's multiple different fields. But like with this year, with all the water, they're totally bypassing my property and 2 other fields by me. Like I haven't seen them out there at all this spring. So like that's one of the bigger noticeabilities that I've seen. Plus with some farmer work cutting down tree lines and stuff like that has played a factor as well, for sure.
I just, for some reason, and there's a handful of guys that I've talked to that are in the same boat, that the birds just haven't really seemed that fired up. I feel like I was just talking to my buddy yesterday when we were trying to roost some birds. Even though we're this far into the season yet, I haven't had that full bird come running in and trying to beat up the decoys or just, come barreling and put on a show per se. And I don't know, it's kind of weird to not see any of that. Like we didn't hear no gobbling out of the 2 groups this morning. We didn't hear no gobbling. I didn't hear no gobbling last night on the roost. Excuse me. I don't know. It's been very weird. I feel like this year, birds are grouped up. Some don't seem like they even care about decoys. Don't care about calling at all. I don't know. I don't know if it's is it the easy out to say it's the weather and the water and the field? Is it easy excuse to say, or is that actually it? I mean, obviously we'll never know, but it makes you wonder, I guess.
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, it's like it's I would say it's
It's
like
obviously got
property
something.
dependent, area dependent. I mean, like I would agree with you, right? Like it's been a weird year for like the gobbling standpoint, and I didn't mention that before because I just haven't been out enough to be like staying on business on it. But from the few hunts I've had and from previous year hunting, like there's always that morning where it's like they're hammering, they get off the tree, they're hammering, and it hasn't been like that once this year for me, where they're just like, wow, this is awesome. It's just been a gobble here, a gobble there, like nothing super crazy. But
Yeah,
I was attributing that to just them already having their hen, like already being henned up, but it could be something else. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, because I some people would say or have asked me like, do you think it was the amount that was taken last year that has something to do with it? And I mean, as you've seen from some of the videos that I've sent you, I would say no. We definitely have plenty of birds around. They just don't seem like too just explosive lately, and I don't know why.
Like I guess like with your dad, did he like with how many birds were over there? Like, did he say it was like a crazy explosive morning with how many toms that there were in that area?
He didn't hear one gobble. They did not care one bit about the decoys. Luckily enough for him, he kind of was just right spot, right time, pretty much. So I mean, even that, I mean, I think there was 5 toms that came in, and then he shot one. So just that alone, that group alone, that's 5 toms not gobbling in the morning. And then a couple days later, there was 6 toms. Not saying it was a different group or the same group or whatever, but there was 6 now this time. And yeah, it's been the same scenario. So I mean, if you think about it, that's possibly 11 different toms right there that could have been out there that morning, and not one of them gobbled while he hunted.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
Even when
I mean, I guess and too, like I haven't looked much into it, but it'd be interesting to see like what some of the forums are saying out there to where if this is a common occurrence across the state. 'Cause, I mean, people are killing birds, right? But a lot of times you don't know how they're killing birds. So it's interesting to see what the general consensus is on that.
well, it's hard to say too, because they might say it's been a great year, but they also might only go kill their bird and be done and stay out of the woods after that too. So it's hard to kind of get an all out opinion about it, unless you talk to somebody that's out there, pretty regularly. So I don't know. It's tough. Has your cameras been going off at all, or I mean, have you been seeing anything on your cameras?
Yeah, I mean, so my camera ran out of the plan. I ended up buying the plan for this weekend, and I had gotten all the pictures from the last like 5 days, and they were loaded with turkey pictures.
Like strutting and huh? See, mine have gone dry.
I'll have to send you the picture of it. It was both two of the toms fanned down in front of the camera, just following a hen, just plugging along.
And I've got some videos. It's weird times. Like the one was strutting at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, just coming through, and it was windy, super windy out. You could see his fan blowing back. I don't know. It's strange. It's a defeating feeling lately. I'll tell you that for me personally in the turkey woods.
I was just attributing it to my bad turkey calling, but I mean maybe it's a common thing,
or your flashlight turning on. I mean, it could be that too.
Outside of the flashlight.
I will tell you though, the walk in and the quietness that you and Ben, the stealthness of you and Ben. I mean, you think you're special ops or something. I mean, so you can't complain. You're good in that scenario. But the flashlight might have you.
It's a step, right? Where something happens, but we figure it out, we get to the next one. Like we're almost to the peak. We're almost there.
I thought the peak was when I think this is where Ben gets you, because I'm going to say this and it might put more bad juju on me, but I thought the peak was when Ben, he was shooting those rounds that kind of curve, I guess, around the turkey. And he had a few of those rounds that he shot a couple years ago. And I thought that was kind of the peak. Like you guys were on him, at least you're getting shots off. And I thought, the following year would have been it, but obviously,
I contribute that just poor aim. Like that's not bad. I think that's just like right. Like would you say that would be poor aim, right, Kyle, from your 2 missed birds this year?
For the one, yes. The second one, I don't know if I could say poor aim or if I could say like poor judgment.
Nerves.
Definitely more nerves on the second bird I missed, which I felt like I possibly could have hit, and I looked for them for a while. But I guess it's almost like that tunnel vision where you don't see the stick that's sitting right in front of you, and you smack that with your bow shooting at kind of one of those situations. I would say that more than anything on the second shot, possibly. And maybe that's just an easy out for me too, but definitely nerves on the second shot. And if I didn't have nerves, I'd be doing it for the wrong reasons.
100% right there.
So I don't know. We had some jakes running around this morning. I was literally, I don't know if I sent you these videos, talking to these birds. I was sitting there talking to them, like sitting up and moving and doing whatever. and they weren't doing nothing. And one of them would walk off. And it was funny because I hit the gobble tube a couple times, and that thing, it scared the crap out of the birds at first. To the point where that bird jumped up straight up in the air and was like freaked out, and then kind of calmed back. So I did it like 3 or 4 times. He jumped up every single time. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully tomorrow.
The thing is, did you save those videos?
Some of the videos I did. Some of them I said, I don't know if I want people seeing me sound like that.
That's what gets people to like the videos and stuff, is you being a complete idiot like you were, and it was hilarious. And now the world won't be able to see that now because you
I
deleted it.
bet you Sid has it. I would almost put more on that.
All right, well I'll get with Sid and see if I can get something.
But I do have some. You know what was weird? I probably shouldn't tell you this, but when we went to roost that property last night, we walked to the tree line, and I owl hooted and didn't hear nothing. Nothing spooked, no, like nothing. We got there this morning, and I know there's birds over there. And right where I owl called last night, we were clearing some leaves away from the base of a tree, and right above us, a hen jumped out. So I don't. It was weird to me just because like she didn't leave last night when we were over there, but this morning she just decided to jump. I don't know. It was weird.
I mean, there was a chance she wasn't even there last night. She could have jumped over in the middle of the night, or did something like that.
I wonder how common that actually is for turkeys to do that in the middle of the night. And if it's hard for them, I bet you they could use your flashlight to see what limb to jump to. Because I've heard
they could. I mean, because it helps you see in the dark. So
if
if any turkey out there needs help moving their roost in the middle of the night, let me know. I got a flashlight for them.
that is true. That is true. But yeah, we're gonna try it in the morning. See what happens. Fishing's been hot still. Dad's been going out hammering them every day. So if you're thinking about going out to the Detroit River, you better get your butt out there before the silver run it in. But yeah, I mean everything. We'll see. Hopefully tomorrow we get it done, and then possibly might have some first timers lined up after I get the old lady a bird, which would be cool. Cool to be able to see. I guess you know what I mean.
Is one of those Ben?
No, for some reason, well, two things. I don't know if I want Ben to come back over here, and I don't know if I want to go over there because I don't know if his juju can wear off on me over there like it did when he came over here. So I'm kind of skeptical on. I might have to get one of those like witch doctors or something to come with me.
Burn sage.
Yeah, to do something. Whether we got to walk her or him out to where we hunt in the morning, just whatever needs to be done needs to be done. And I think we should all just say a prayer for Ben and hope for the best.
See what I think we need to do. I think we need to have Ben on the podcast with us both so he can defend himself, because Ben takes a lot of flack on this podcast.
He does, well deserved, but yeah, he does. He does. Yeah, we should have him on here because I'd be curious to see how much of the truth that you're telling.
You see, the thing is, like, as anyone, will deny. So I'm sure that's how it would
go. One last question I got for you, because I ran into a situation yesterday.
Don't turn your flashlight on.
No, trust me, I knew that by the second hunt I've ever been on turkey hunting. I remember Devin, I took him out for the first time, and it was at that valley. And
I remember the story because I knew that's where we were going to go with this. When I told you this story, I knew that's exactly where you were going to go with.
He told, what did he say? He says, "Is there a bunch of pickers in there?" And I said, "No, turn your flashlight on and see." And we were somewhat close to the roost, with probably right around 100 yards from the roost. And he's like, "You serious?" I was like, "Yeah." So he pulls out his phone, and I about smacked it out of his hand just because I could only imagine out of all people, Devin throwing his flashlight on it that close. And I didn't even consider, I wouldn't even have thought of you doing that, but you failed me.
Hey, there's like I said, something's always got to go wrong, and I just.
Well, you're telling everybody what not to do, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a situation where I had, I think it was a total of like 3 hens, Tom, and maybe 2 Jakes, roosted up on a tree line. And the way the property's laid out, I would have either had to walk right underneath them or, walked way around them to try to get to a advantage spot to be able to try to get them in the morning. In your opinion, is there a right time of day or morning to go out there and try to get past them birds without them seeing you or hearing you, or not really draw too much concern? It's a genuine question.
I would say, to be honest with you, I've never tried to like get out early enough to walk right underneath the roost. To be honest with you, what I would always do is I'd always walk all the way around. If there's a different advantage point to get in there, I would do that. I would try to stay clear of where those birds are roosted and try to get into that area where I know those birds are going to be at.
And that was the hard part with this property, is just because the owner only owns a certain amount. So it was hard. I mean, I would have had to go like 2 properties over to try to do a big old loop. I'll have to send you a picture or something just to explain it, because I knew there was birds there, but I felt like we would have done more harm than good if we would have hunted it this morning. Which is a hard thing to pass up for me and a lot of people, obviously, to pass up birds that you know where they're at.
I mean too, though. I mean, like, I've seen videos and stuff where people are walking and they're set up right underneath the roost, right, and they'll fly right down into it. So I don't know what the right way to do it is, but I mean, it's been done. I just don't know that timing. It has to be really freaking early in the morning, though.
I feel like one of the biggest things that you could do to help you out if you were in that situation, like, so say you get set up in the morning, you don't know where they're roosted at, and you're just sitting there, you get the decoys out or no decoys out or whatever it may be, and he's either right above you or a couple trees over from you where you could see him. I feel like one of the biggest things that you could possibly do to help you out is to not call at all until he flies down, whether he pitches towards you or away from you or whatever it may be. I feel like not calling in that situation is the best, because if you call on the ground and he's up in a tree and it's still dark outside, I mean, I feel like he's going to be able to pinpoint you, and even a semi-educated bird is going to be able to figure that out pretty easily.
Yeah, especially if you're in an area where you think he's roosted at, definitely waiting for him to make it known where he's at. And if you're really close to him, just got to hold tight.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best ways to do it, honestly, is just kind of sitting there at the edge of a property and listening for that first gobble if they're vocal that morning, and then making a move on them. I've had a lot of luck on that as well, instead of just setting up and hoping for the best. I feel like turkey hunting, you got to be mobile.
Yeah, and talking about that is, like, for me, is, well, not this morning wasn't the greatest instinct, but like a lot of times, like, it's a split second instinct, right? Like, if you think about it for a second, it's too late. Like, if you hear a gobble out in the distance, right, and you're calling, he's gobbling, you're like, all right, like, I know if I can get to that point there, I'm going to kill him. But if you wait 5 minutes, birds move pretty quick. I saw it this morning with them moving, chasing hens around. Like, it's like those birds can move if they want to. So if you wait a split second, you might as well just hold tight. So just trust in your instinct. If you think you can do it, do it.
We talked about that the other day, and there ain't nothing truer than a turkey can move as slow as he possibly can or wants, or as fast as he wants. It's up to him. But to that point, I feel like depending on the time of day, I'd say in the morning time and he's gobbling, yes, like split second decision, gotta go. Midday and he's gobbling, he's fired up, I feel like you got a little bit more time, even though he's probably going to be on the way. And I say that just because midday and he's fired up, he's probably lost his hens and looking for some new hens or looking for those hens. And he's pretty vulnerable. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in the morning for us, and I don't know, go from there. But again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. We appreciate you. Appreciate you putting up with us. Private donor, I appreciate you. Don't listen to Trav. But yeah, we'll keep everybody informed. And if you need an extra light, Trav is your guy. He will lead the way. Like the North Star. The North Star. That's what the nickname is. The North Star on Team Arby's. We got to meet. So we'll see everybody on the next one. I appreciate everybody tuning in on this week's podcast. Hopefully somebody learned something. I felt like we covered a lot on maybe some smaller tips and tricks that people don't really, I don't know, think about maybe. So yeah, we'll see everybody on the next one, and appreciate it. We'll see you.